This is the Milo Beasley Show. This is the Milo Beasley Show. There's only one thing you need to know. This is the Milo Beasley Show. And now, here's your host, Milo Beasley.
And welcome to the Milo Beasley Show. It's our first episode of the new year, and I'm super excited. I was able to talk to our last guest in person last year at Epcot's International Festival of the Arts, and I'm so glad to be able to have him on this week to be able to talk about his work, his upcoming appearances at said festival. So please help me welcome at this time, Dave Perillo. How are you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. Just ran a 5K today at Disney. So getting ready to go to bed. It's only like 6:00 while we're recording, and I'm getting ready to go to bed because 2 a.m. comes very, very quickly.
Oh, you're doing that tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm doing 5K. I did a 5K today, 10K tomorrow, half marathon on Saturday, and a full marathon because I'm dumb on Sunday.
Wow. See, I only run when I'm being chased. That's my rule.
It's a good philosophy, and I have to pay for this too. So I don't know what I'm thinking.
Man.
So coming up on Epcot's Festival of the Arts, I was super excited to be able to chat with you last year, be able to pick up a couple pieces.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that real quick. You're coming up, coming down. What is this? So next weekend.
Yeah.
So basically January 15th through the 21st.
It's a long stretch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long stretch. Are you prepared for the Florida winter, as we like to call it? It's still 80 degrees outside.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. It's supposed to snow. We're getting snow tonight. So yeah, I want to get out of here. So
snow, man. I've only ever seen snow like twice in my life. So yeah. I wouldn't know what to do living in that.
No, it's not fun. It never gets. Some people like it. I don't know. I never liked it. So yeah.
So how many times have you been to? I guess that the Festival of the Arts is relatively new, but have you been doing it every year since its inception?
I didn't do the first year, but I've been there every year since. So I guess I think it started in it's either 2018 or 2017.
Right.
It's only a few years old. And I was there the second year that they had it. So I think it was the second. Yeah. And I've been there now. This is my fourth time. So
that's awesome. And always a good time at Walt Disney World, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So are you able to bring like the whole family down, or is it school so they're not able to come out?
No, I'm pulling them out of school. I didn't bring them down last year, obviously because COVID was crazy. So
right.
This year we thought it was going to be better, but I'm pulling them out anyway. They're probably safer at Disney than they would be at school at this point. So we're all coming down for the week. So
that's awesome.
Fun.
What's your favorite park out of the Walt Disney World parks?
In Walt Disney World, probably Epcot.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like Epcot a lot. It's unique. I went there when it first opened, so I have nostalgia for it.
Right.
I see how it's evolved, but I like the countries. I like that you have the other section, the Future World. It's just a neat park.
Yeah, and we just opened up Remy's Ratatouille Adventure there.
Yes, very excited for that.
Yeah. So outside of Walt Disney World, what other parks have you been to, and do you have a favorite of those?
Well, my personal favorite probably is Disneyland. It's just classic. That one it seems like it hasn't changed too much. Like,
right.
I mean, obviously they have added, Galaxy's Edge, and they've added Toontown and there's been changes, but it still feels like it's something out of the past. Like there's a lot of nostalgia for it.
Absolutely. I'm gonna have to agree. Disneyland is, I mean, it's way up there. It's definitely better than Walt Disney World. I will say that 100%.
I like that you can get from point A to point B, and it has a better flow. Like Walt Disney World, I feel like when you're there, you're like, okay, I got to get from here to here. How do I get there? I can't get there. There's a parade going on now, and so Disneyland always seems like if you want to get from one side to the other, you can be there in 15 minutes and it's not a big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. But dude, I'm gonna agree about Epcot. I absolutely love Epcot. It's a great park, and they're working on expanding it. We have Guardians of the Galaxy coming, and of course, it seems like all year round now, with the exception of maybe 2 weeks somewhere for transitions, there's always a festival going on.
Yeah. Yeah. By design, I think they figured that out, that Epcot's such a huge footprint that they can kind of always have a festival going on there. It's a great park to have their festivals in. Like, you couldn't do it in Hollywood Studios. It's too small. It's too tight.
Right.
It's perfect. It's perfect for Epcot.
Right. I agree. And again, speaking of, here's your dates, coming up 15th through 21st. So a whole week, and you're debuting a couple new pieces, correct?
Yes, I got 4 new pieces. I always try and do 4 every time. Just seems like a good number.
I gotta say, I'm a huge fan of. What is the official? There are attraction posters, I guess. But is there an official title for that style?
Well, I kind of got the idea to start doing them because of the original attraction posters that they used to just put up at Disneyland. They would just kind of have it as you went in, and I got to visit the archives a few years back, and I saw the real ones that they would put up, and I'm like, they were screen printed, they're so vibrant, they're so cool, and I kind of got the ideas like, well, I just want to kind of do a series of that with like my own kind of style to it, because it kind of is similar to how they used to do them, and so I guess they're kind of like throwback attraction posters.
Absolutely. I think we probably have about 10 different ones. We're a huge fan of the series. And then so the ones that have been announced so far: Maelstrom, Orange Bird, and an amazing looking Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, that's one I've wanted to do for a while now, is Spaceship Earth.
I saw the sketch that the sketch that you had posted of the Orange Bird. Very, very cool. So when you're working on these, is the idea, are you just sketching and coming up, oh, maybe I should do this one, maybe I should do this one? Or are you like, okay, I really want to do this one, so this is the one that I'm going to do?
I have like a list that I kind of go through, and like every year I'm like, I want to do these 4 this year. And well, with Festival of the Arts, they don't want it to be all Epcot. So I can't all of a sudden put out 4 Epcot. So I've been kind of putting them in like 1 each time. This time I snuck 2 in, and I like to do like the ones that, like, I always want to do like a defunct ride that's not there anymore. Especially, and Epcot has like so many rides that don't exist anymore. That it just keeps changing. That it's easy for that park to do. So that's kind of the process with that. And Disney's really cool with Wonderground. They're really cool with just letting artists kind of come up with their own thing, and they never really tell you no. They have restrictions on certain things, and there's weird things with like the safety, like the way you depict the ride, like if there's a lap bar or a seat belt, or that's got to be kind of shown in there, and you can't have people with like their arms up, like I did Splash Mountain, and I had the kids' arms up, and they're like, no arms up. And I'm like, well, everybody does that, but I guess you can't depict that on a poster. So that's pretty much like the only things that they ever say to you. They're never like, no, we don't want you to do Spaceship Earth. We don't want to. Yeah.
That's very interesting. I never thought about that. That's very, very interesting. And yeah, Spaceship Earth, what a great year to do it, considering that they just, added all the lights. Have you probably haven't seen it in person, have you?
They had the lights, I think, last year when I was there. I think it just opened with the front part, what is that thing called? The thing that used to be there that they brought back, that's the
the pillars. Yeah.
And then they had the lights on the Spaceship Earth too. I think but it was brand new, so it was cool. It's really cool to see.
They're doing some really, really cool things with Spaceship Earth now. I was there. They turned the Spaceship Earth into the Death Star one time.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
That's
So,
fun. Yeah.
yeah, I'm digging. I'm hoping to maybe see that again in the future. Now, let's backtrack a little bit. How did you even get involved with Disney in the first place?
Oh, okay. Well, so I started just kind of doing pop culture fan art, you know, and putting it up on my own site. And I would go to like local comic conventions and sell stuff there. And then from that, I kind of I got into a gallery in LA called Gallery 1988, which is like basically it's like a pop culture art gallery.
Right.
So every one of their shows like revolves around like some kind of pop culture theme. And I guess when they decided to do Wonderground Gallery, they kind of got the idea from that pop culture gallery to do in Disney. So they went and they kind of looked for artists that were showing there. And I
Right.
got an email from them saying, we're opening up this new gallery in downtown Disney in LA or Anaheim. And we want to have artists come in and we want you to do your thing. Like we want your thing with our intellectual property. So I was like, yeah, I'm down for that. So that's kind of how it started. So I've basically been with Wonderground since their first show that they opened, which was it was like a Pixar show they did. It was their very first debut show.
Oh, that's awesome. What was your first piece?
It was a Monsters Inc. And then they wanted everyone to do a Mickey, so I got to do a Mickey too my first time, which was
That's awesome. Were you a little bit nervous? Like, man, like, all right, they want Mickey. I know, Mickey, but like,
yeah, you kind of like I remember when I was doing sketches and stuff like that. They're like, no, it looks too much like Mickey. You got to do your own thing. And I'm like, I'm always kind of weary when it's some like this iconic
right.
figure. I was like, I'm not supposed to mess with this. And they let you. They wanted though people to do their own thing, which was awesome. So because a lot of companies and even Disney in the past was very protective of their intellectual property. And they don't want it changed and they don't want to look different. But this whole model that they came up with was the exact opposite, to have artists do their own thing. And I mean, I love it. I think it's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. And you get to see a lot of that at the Festival of the Arts, a lot of different styles of Mickey's, a lot of different styles of Stitch, of Figment, there's a lot of Orange Bird lately around, these couple of years.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get to see all that different style. So as opposed to, traditional or whatever traditional happens to be at the moment, such as what is the Mickey shorts right now is the look that Disney, the official Disney look that they're doing. So now when you're doing, these events at, such as Festival of the Arts, have you been able to go and talk to different artists that you had never been able to talk to before?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's great. I've from doing it for all these years now, I've met all these other Disney artists, and it's cool because we kind of have like it's more like on social media because you don't see each other very often, but we get together when we are doing like signings. Like there'll be some artists, I think, down there when I'm down there. So we hang out, we talk. Sometimes we would go to Trader Sam's and have drinks. And it's great because it's like, working as like a freelance artist, you're kind of in a bubble, and it's not like you're working in an office where you see other coworkers. So a lot of times you're very isolated, and the only time you get to see, other people in your same profession is events like Festival of the Arts or like D23, or at like a convention, like a comic convention or something like that. So I love that aspect of it. And I've met so many great other artists that, I admire, and I love their styles.
Absolutely. Now, again, you've mentioned, doing comic conventions, D23. I mean, you've done a lot of things. You've worked for Disney. You've had some great collaborations, but I do have to say, like, I don't get jealous a lot, but I do have to say there's a lot of, I don't want to say a little jealousy, a lot of jealousy. You recently got to meet Gritty.
Oh my God.
Was it everything you wanted it to be?
It was so the Gritty thing, it was like they had this, as soon as they showed Gritty, because I live right outside of Philly. So I'm in the Gritty verse over here, and I'm not even like a huge hockey fan or anything like that, but I love sports mascots, and I'm more of a Sixers fan, and their mascot stinks. But the Flyers came out with Gritty, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is the perfect mascot. He is everything you want in a mascot. And I said, I got to figure out how to meet him. So I've been always looking, like, where's he going to be? does he ever do appearances? And then I saw my friend went to this like cheesy like Christmas light spectacular thing, and he's like, Gritty's there on Thursday nights. And I said to my wife, I said, I don't care how much it costs. We got to go and meet Gritty. So that's and when he came out on like a scooter, like he comes flying in on a scooter and hops off, and I'm like in this crowd full of children, and I just scream, "Oh my God, it's Gritty!" And I was way more excited than I think most of the people there to see Gritty. So. And then my friend, it was funny too, because my friend was supposed to take the picture of me and Gritty, and he had his glove on. You know, it's freezing out, so he didn't get the picture. And I said, what do you mean? So I had to get back in line and get my picture again with Gritty, because he didn't get it the first time. So then Gritty's probably like, what's this psycho doing?
So now,
yeah.
Gritty's going back at the end of the night and be like, dude, did you see that guy that just kept looping the line?
Coming back around. He's pushing kids out of the way. He's like, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I too am a huge Mascot fan. I actually work, there's a charity event every year in June here in Orlando called Mascot Games, where we invite mascots from all over the country and even Canada down. And we've been trying to get Gritty for years. So maybe, knock on wood, that maybe one day we will be able to get Gritty to come down here for Mascot Games.
The guy, whoever does it is super talented. Just like the videos of him, all the stuff he does, he's doing flips in that suit. He's sinking baskets at like half court at Sixers games. I'm like, he's awesome. He's just, I don't know how he does it. He's like a super athlete in this mascot suit.
Right. I think he's the greatest. I mean, so Philly has to have the two greatest mascots on the planet, right?
Well, I have reservations about the Philly Fanatic since I had an altercation with him as a child. So the Gritty kind of redeems the whole mascot thing for me, because the Fanatic like assaulted me when I was 5. So, you know how he like grabs people? So he scared the living daylights out of me one time. Like I was at a baseball card show and he was coming around and he shot the snoot thing right in my face, and it like I was like this kid. I started like getting all upset and crying and like, what's this going on? So now I'm like afraid of the Fanatic. Even though he's designed by like the Henson Workshop, he's an awesome looking mascot. But personally, I think he's a creep.
So when you work on mascots, you're skipping the Fanatic then, right?
It's kind of hard to. He's such an iconic.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another thing, as I looked over your page, and that I absolutely love, is the detail that you go in with your kids on Halloween costumes.
Yeah, I think I get a little.
I mean, they're amazingly detailed. Is how much work, effort, pre-planning goes into these costumes?
I think I kind of force a lot of ideas on them. Like, well, because they say we want to do this, and I said we could do that, and then I come up with all these different ideas, and they're like, I don't understand. Like my daughter this year was the Lucky Charms leprechaun, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do the box too, and she's like, I don't understand. I said, don't worry, I got it. And then I spend probably way too much time and effort on them, but it's living vicarious. It's it goes back to my childhood again, because when I was a kid, I asked my mom to make me an elephant costume, and it was the worst looking thing. Like, God bless her soul, that she tried to like make this elephant costume for me, but it was horrible. So now I'm like determined, like my kids' Halloween costumes have to look so good. I have to go out overboard on them.
That's awesome. And I don't know if it's for the camera or if it's their actual reactions, but the stone face that they have, the non-smiling, just staring through the camera at you because you made them wear these costumes.
Yeah. They like it. They get a lot of attention. So it's like they go to their school parade and they get a lot of attention from the teachers and everything. And it's fun.
That's fantastic.
I think Zoltar, when I had my son be Zoltar from Big, that was probably the most I did, because I actually printed out little fortunes for him to like put through the slot when people would come up, so you could get a fortune from Zoltar. So that's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. Yeah, it was. It was a lot. Yeah.
Now you mentioned living through your childhood, but I mean, you've done, stuff for superheroes, Ninja Turtles at New York Comic Con, The Simpsons. What is it like being able to make a living, basically living through your childhood?
Yeah, it's awesome to get to draw the things that, like, it's always like, I know it sounds kind of cliche, but it's like if you could go back in time and tell yourself, like, one day someone's going to pay you to draw pictures of that cartoon you're watching right now, the kid would probably be like, why is this grown man in my living room right now telling me this? That's probably what I would say. But yeah, that's kind of like, it's always like, no matter how many times I get like a job will come in and they tell me what they want me to do, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I really want to do that. So I mean, there's a lot of boring stuff in there, that corporate work and things like that.
Right.
It's not as exciting, but when I feel very fortunate that I get to do a lot of stuff with a lot of stuff I love. So it's awesome.
Is there an IP that you are waiting on them, that you are just dying to do, that you're waiting on to do them officially or like unofficially?
I don't know. I mean, I've done so many. It's like I'm running thin on. I feel like I've touched almost every kind of thing that I've been into. Like, somehow, I think it'd be fun to like get to redesign like Kellogg's cereal, like corporate mascots. Like, I think that would be fun to kind of do my own spin on that, or maybe even like come up with my own like design for an animated show like that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. That's the only two things I could think of at the moment that, I haven't really touched upon. So
another thing, obviously, besides the Disney park stuff that I love about your work is that, that 50s, 60s style vintage look. What is it about that style, that vintage look that, I mean, because you could tell that you love working on it. You can tell, in the final product that it's something that you really love. What is it about that style that you really love?
I don't know, something I just gravitate towards. It's funny because when I first started in high school and middle school and stuff like that, trying to do artwork, I was into comics and I read a lot of comics. So I was trying to mimic that style and not the best at that. So I kind of started seeing like the old school, like Hanna-Barbera cartoons and things like that. And I'm like, I can draw. That's more of how I can draw and create artwork. So just a natural progression is like, and it just always caught my eye, with the use, especially after going to college and you learn about typography and color theory and how, when I started looking at the type that they would use in the 50s and 60s and the colors they would use, I'm like, this is awesome and so classic and so unique. They would come up with so many different cool combinations of colors that you would never in a million years like just think of. Like Mary Blair was absolute genius on her color choices, and it's amazing. It's I don't know. I just love it. I think that's why I draw like that now. So
yeah, I really enjoy that style. We have a couple McBiff pieces around the house as well, and we have a couple Shag pieces, and those are the again. So I mean, between you, Shag, and McBiff, you can pretty much imagine what our living room looks like with that style.
Yeah.
Has there been any dream collaborations that you would like to do with artists?
Oh, I don't know. That's always tough because it's hard to collaborate. Like, I mean, I do a lot of stuff with Tom Whalen's an artist I work with a lot on things. We always do art shows together. Not that we get along. We don't really get along. It's a running joke, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to like actually merge styles together,
Right.
I mean, I love Shag stuff. McBiff's great. I do love all that stuff. But then I think sometimes when your stuff when you're too close to each other, it might not be the best pairing. Like sometimes you got to go completely opposite on something like that doesn't like an artist that doesn't look anything like your stuff, and then kind of work with them and see what you can come up with. But it's tricky. So,
right.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned, prior to, being hired by Disney and getting, gallery, were you buying or I guess renting tables at conventions and Artist Alley? Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, you would just set up at Artist Alley and make fan art and sell it. And that's a lot of people started like out that way. And then they, it's one of those, it's like a kind of like a fine line you got to walk, because you have to like make sure you don't infringe, but at the same time, if by drawing other people's characters, it gets you noticed, that you then get to officially do it. It's kind of it's a good way to get in.
Right.
Because trying to like sell your own original stuff right off the bat is tough, because nobody knows what it is. They don't recognize it. But if you draw Spider-Man or Batman or anything like that, they immediately recognize it. And if it's your own unique spin on it, that definitely helps. I mean, that's, but it's like, you also don't want to, take anybody off.
Yes, definitely. Do you have any advice for any young artists out there that may be watching this, or not even necessarily young, but old artists that are getting into the art game?
Yeah, I always tell people just to really come up with like, it's great to like be inspired by other artists and art, but really you have to find your own voice and come up with your own unique thing and just perfect that. That's the most important thing. You got to be like an individual. You got to be the like the only one that does that, and then you stand out in the crowd. And I mean, your stuff will pair well with other artists like Shag and stuff like that, because it kind of fits in that same realm, but it also has to look different than that. You don't want to like, directly put something. And that's kind of where I fell into, like in high school and stuff like that, drawing comics. Like I would mimic these other comic artists' style, and I'm like, well, it's not me. I'm drawing guys like Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld and stuff like that. That was like comics in the early '90s, and it's like, this isn't me at all. I love the comics, I love the characters, I like the art, but it's not what my stuff's going to look like. So I'm glad I kind of broke off from that and developed my own style. I think that is the best advice I can give to any artist coming out there, is just be unique,
Awesome. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Now, being that this is the first episode of the year, last year we did a thing called the Milo Beasley Show Frequently Asked Questions, where I asked the same questions to every guest. We're going to do a little twist on that this year. So we're going to start off with, again, it's the Milo Beasley Show Frequently Asked Questions. We're going to change up the questions this year. And Dave, you're going to be the first.
Oh, good.
The first to experience the brand new questions. So question number 1, what was the first concert that you attended?
Are these all like things to get into my password? Is it like, what's my mother's maiden name? My first concert was actually the band The Hooters at the Tower Theater in Philadelphia. I think I was 12. I don't know. It's an 80s band. Do you know The Hooters?
I don't.
They did And We Danced and All You Zombies was their 2 80s hits.
Okay. I know the
songs.
songs.
Weird, keyboard, I don't know what it's called. It's like a harmophone or something. It's like a weird keyboard that you could blow into. That was like one of their weird instruments they would play. But they're also they came out of Philadelphia, the Hooters. So.
Oh.
Yeah. So that
awesome.
That was my first concert. Yeah.
Question number 2. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I play Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever had anything spooky happen to you?
I don't think so. I've probably been freaked out thinking I was going to get there was something haunting, but I don't think I've ever been in anywhere where I would stay clear of it. If anybody's like, "Oh, that house is haunted," and I'm not staying there.
All right. Question number 3. This is a little curveball on a question that gets asked a lot, but in a movie about your life, who would play your parents?
Oh. Huh. So my dad would be Bob Uecker from Major League fame and Mr. Belvedere. Who would play my mom? I don't know. I almost think George. Who was it played George's mom? George Costanza's mom on Seinfeld.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't think of her name. Yeah.
That's probably insulting to her though. But
Well, she'll watch it and be like, "Well,
you think I
really?
sound
Is
like
that
that?
me?"
Is that what I sound like? Yeah. So
Question number 4. Who is your favorite person to follow on social media?
oh well, that's easy. That's gritty. 100%.
Yeah, I'm guilty as well as well. And now hopefully this may end up being the same answer, but again, besides gritty, you've done a lot of conventions, you've been at 23, you've been all over the place. But what has been your biggest fanboy moment where you just absolutely fanned out about meeting somebody, or they were in the room and you couldn't control yourself?
I have two on this
Okay.
one. This is it. So first one, I was in LA one time and I heard there was an art show going on, and the artist was Nathan Hamill, and his dad is Mark Hamill. So I said to my wife, I said, "Hey, there's this art show. We should go to it at the opening because maybe his dad will be there. Because why wouldn't his dad show up to his son's art show?" And he was there. And I was like, I got to go over. So I went over and I talked to him. And he talked to me. And it was the weirdest conversation with Mark Hamill, because it's not like what you would think. It's not like I get to go over to him and talk to him about being Luke Skywalker. He talked to me. He asked me where I was from. And I said, Philadelphia. And then he started talking to me about tax credits in filming in Philadelphia. I could care less, but I was so just immersed in this conversation with Luke Skywalker that was my number one. And then my second was I got to visit Sesame Street, where they filmed Sesame Street, and the woman's taking us on the tour, and she asked if there's anybody I'd want to meet, and I didn't really understand what the question was. It was like the actors that are on the set, the people. And she goes, "No, any of the Muppets. Do you want to meet any of the Muppets?" And I'm a huge Bert fan. Like I love Bert. So I just said, is Bert here? Like he's like a person.
Right.
Said, let me go check to see if he's in the back. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? It's so weird. So they come out, and it's the guy who does Bert. He brings out Bert, and he starts talking to me as Bert. And I'm like just talking. I'm looking at the puppet, talking to Bert, and not even paying attention to the guy. Like I had a conversation with Bert. It was amazing. So those are my two just being on the set of Sesame Street was awesome. Just being there.
Yeah, that's gotta be amazing. So you got your picture with Bert then, I assume.
Bert, I met Cookie Monster, Grover, Oscar, Snuffleupagus, Slimy the Worm. And the weirdest thing was when we were on the tour, I was with my friend and we went on the tour, and Will Wheaton was also on a tour the same exact time. So it was like worlds colliding, because I love Star Trek Next Generation. I'm like, oh my God, I got Sesame Street Muppets. I got Wesley Crusher. I don't know what's going on. My head's going to explode. It's too much.
What a day.
It was nuts. Yeah.
I can't even imagine, man. I want to get to Sesame Street so bad. And then our second of our 2 minute games. This one's a little bit easier. It's called the Milo Beasley Show Top 5. I'm going to ask you a random question. You're going to give me your top 5 answers, no particular order, just the first things that come to your head.
Okay.
So today we're going to do top 5 favorite breakfast cereals as a kid.
Oh, okay. I could do this one. I got Count Chocula, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Golden Grams, and then this is kind of cheating because they're both technically the same cereal, but they are my absolute favorite cereal. It was the 90s Spider-Man cereal, and then the 80s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cereal is my absolute favorite that they don't make in any kind of form anymore. I don't know if you've ever had it. It was
I remember the Ninja. I 100% remember Ninja Turtles. But I mean, you would think that. I mean, they're bringing back weird stuff all the time. Like a couple of years ago, they brought back Ecto Cooler and the High C.
Yeah. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, they bring that back, because there is no other cereal configuration that kind of like you can always kind of find stuff. Like a lot of stuff was basically Captain Crunch in a different form. Like the G.I. Joe cereal was like the stars, and then they did a Muppet cereal that was like that. They were like basically Captain Crunch. But
Right.
the Ninja Turtles and the Spider-Man cereal was these like sugar-coated rice checks with those little marshmallow marmots. Like it was so good. I would love to relive that. Just eat a bowl of that. I would go nuts. Yeah.
So before we wrap up, where can folks find you on the social medias or in your website?
It's daveperilloart.com is my website. And then on social media, I go by at Montygog, MONTYGOG. And then I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I'm not on the Facebook or whatever I don't even know what it's called now. What is it, like Meta or something? Is it?
Yeah. Well, Meta's like the parent company for like, so what it's Instagram and Facebook are owned by the same people, right? Something like that.
I think so, because they messed up the whole algorithm on how things come in, and it's not good.
No.
Yeah. So, but it's good for like this. It's good for art. It's a good way to get, and Twitter. I'm just on there. I don't know why I'm really on there, but it's like another platform to be on there. But Twitter is a very volatile platform. You go on there and you say, I like pizza, and you got 50 people like hating you. You're like, what is pizza? I don't know what I did.
It's so toxic, man.
I made like a Star Wars joke the other day, and I had like 50 people was like, yeah, this is incorrect. You didn't. I was like, oh my God. I made a John Madden joke after he died. Yeah.
I said, here's a man who lived until he died, because that's what John Madden would say about somebody.
Right.
And I had so many people unfollow me. I was like, anyway, so again, starting Saturday, January 15th, all the way till Friday, January 1st, a whole week at the Epcot International Festival of the Arts. So what can folks expect if they come up and to your to the Wonderground Gallery to meet you?
I don't know. I'll be there. I don't know. I'll sign whatever you want. It's got to be Disney stuff. That's their rule.
Okay. So, all right. So there's a rule. It has to be Disney stuff.
Yeah. And you can bring your own Disney stuff. And they sometimes like say you're only allowed to sign certain amount of things, but I don't, I'm usually cool with that. If you have I had a guy message me and he said he's got a bunch of my stuff. I said, you can bring it on. I'll make sure I get it signed for him. So, and I have one more piece debuting that I haven't shown off yet. So I think
So can we get a hint about a park that it may reside in?
It's in Hollywood Studios. I will say that.
Ooh, all right. Well, I will definitely be there at Festival of the Arts. I'm definitely going to come by, say hi, and pick up those pieces. That Spaceship Earth is amazing. I know last time, if you're out there and you're watching and you're on the fence, honestly, go that first weekend, because there's stuff that will sell out.
Oh yeah.
That first weekend. So if you're thinking about getting that Spaceship Earth piece, the Orange Bird piece, Maelstrom piece, these things will sell out. I know firsthand, because I was there
the last week, and they were sold out of all of my stuff. So I said, this year I'm going to go the first week, so they actually have my stuff to sign. So because it was tough for them to get it restocked. They would sell out so fast, and then they wouldn't get it back in time, and then I felt bad.
I am a victim of waiting too long in the game to go get
I always tell people with Disney stuff, if you see it, don't sit on it. If you want it, just get it, because stuff with anything in the Disney parks, like if you don't grab it right away, you might not ever find it again. You don't know how they restock things. I don't know how they restock things. I don't know what goes on over there.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me, chatting about Gritty, chatting about the Disney life.
Yeah.
Anything left before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm good. Just pray it doesn't snow next week so I can get down there. I got to get down to that warm weather. So
yeah, come down. 80 degrees every day.
Yeah, I don't want that Florida winter though. I got down there one year and it went down into the 40s, and I wasn't having that. I need 80, 70 degree weather.
Right. Yeah, you can't hit Blizzard Beach in 40 degrees.
No, I couldn't even go to the pool. It was awful.
All right, so thank you for joining me, and thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button, like, share, do all that other stuff, but most importantly, tell your friends, and we'll see you next week.